and I'm like, it's over for me. If I'm making the video, it's over for me. It's an interesting thought experiment. I recommend people um, try it. Okay. Are you afraid of death, by the way?
Yes. It's hard because like, what if you just die and then you just see nothing forever, you know?
Yeah, the nothingness.
It just fades to blackness and you're just like that for trillions upon trillions to billion squared years. And it's scary. But also, before you're born, you don't remember those, X amount of years either. So that gives me a little comfort. But no, it's definitely very scary. Something I'd rather not think about until I'm like 80. I'll deal with that problem then. I don't know if I told you this, but I'm kind of hopeful that someone like Elon or one of these like freak smart people will just like be like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna figure out a way where we can slow down aging, get it where we can live to be 200-300 years old, and just like set their sights on that, and then just kind of save us. So it'd be really nice. Like it's almost absurd to think that in our lifetime they won't figure out a way to just even slightly slow down aging, where we could live to be like 120 or 130, and then that extra time they won't figure out some way where we could live to be 200. Like obviously not immortal, but I don't see how in my lifetime the life expectancy doesn't just expand.
Well, it also could be that the immortality is achieved in the digital realm. Like it could be long after you're gone. There's a MrBeast run by a ChatGPT type system.
Exactly. Yeah, that consumes everything I ever said, everything I ever wrote, and but I don't want that. I want to live. One of you smart people out there, figure it out. I'll keep you entertained, but I need you to figure out how to keep me alive. Give me till 200. That will make me happy.
Well, that's funny. Who owns the identity of MrBeast once the physical body is gone? Like, is it illegal to create another MrBeast that's ChatGPT based? I don't know what the laws are around that.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, once I'm dead, I don't care.
well,
but
well, you just said you did care. I mean, there could be a AI, like many MrBeasts that are created after you're gone.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be cool to be able to like train up a model and let them loose so my content lives on, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. But it somehow feels like it diminishes the value you contribute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's inauthentic, but it's also there's some aspect to the finiteness of the art being necessary for its greatness.
100%. Yeah, the second that thing starts spamming out videos, the videos lose all meaning and it's pointless and it's a money grab.
If you ran YouTube for how long should you run it? For a year, how would you change it? How would you improve it?
It's hard because obviously I'm biased because we're doing really well, but I feel like when I open up YouTube on my television, I get the videos I want to watch. I don't know. I don't ever open it and wonder like, what are these? What are these 10 videos on my homepage? When I click on a video on my suggestion, I don't ever wonder what these are. Like and maybe it's because I'm very adamant about like the kind of videos I watch, and I try not to watch videos that I don't want to get recommended more because that's how I think. But I'm very happy with how it is at the moment. I think one thing though that I just hate with the passion is the comment section on YouTube. It's just so bad. But that I know that's not something that's going to 10x the growth of the platform. But if you think about it, you go to Reddit to read comments, and somehow like usually the top 20 posts on a popular Reddit post are not spam. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever clicked on something on the front page of Reddit and then most upvoted reply to it is like, go check out my site right here. And it's like trying to scam you out of $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't even think of one instance I've ever had that happen. So like Reddit, it's so nice to click on posts and just see what people have to say. And I almost wish like you had that same feeling when you read the comments on a YouTube video. Instead, it's like, it's so many people just copy and pasting, so many bots that just grab the top comment for your previous video and paste it over. So the top comments on every video are the same. And the things that break through that are just scammers trying to get you to give them $1,000 for a free, fake ad.
That comment section is one of the most lively on the internet. So it'd be amazing if YouTube invested in creating an actual community, like where people could do high effort comments and be rewarded for it, like on Reddit.
Yeah.
Like actually write out a long
That
thing.
would make me so happy. Because like when I upload a video, I usually go to Twitter to see feedback. Like I read my comments and I'll flip through newest, but it's just, I feel like Reddit and Twitter just give me so much better filtered feedback, especially now that with Twitter Blue, because people pay $8 a month. I've noticed like any tweets I get from verified users now, they're usually not just garbage troll takes. Like these are people paying $8 a month. Like they're usually relatively sensible. And so it's been pretty nice. Like after I upload a video, I just go on the verified tab on Twitter and just see what people have to say. And anyways, I live for the day that YouTube's like that.
What do you think about Twitter? What do you think about all the fun activity happening recently since Elon bought Twitter.
I think he should make me CEO, like I tweeted.
Well, I should say, sort of, we just like a couple hours ago had a conversation with Elon, and you guys had an exchange of some excellent ideas. So yeah, I legitimately think, obviously you're exceptionally busy, but I legitimately think it would be awesome if you somehow participate in the future of Twitter.
Yeah, it would be fun
because there's so much possibility of different ideas. First, in the sort of the content, like dissemination, hosting, and all the different recommendations, like the search and discovery, all the things that YouTube does well.
I think the most exciting thing is he's, willing to move fast. And so I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things that come out of it because he's just moving quick. And a lot of these more mature platforms just take years to do the simplest stuff, and they're very bureaucratic. And so it's it'll be interesting to see which way it goes when you just kind of take a move quick, break things, whatever type approach to social media. I'm actually pretty curious to see what features he rolls out.
So what would be your first act as Twitter CEO?
I can't spoil it.
Okay.
I gotta get hired.
What do you think about video on the platform? I mean,
Twitter?
do you think that's an interesting, or is it like messing with the medium, the nature of the platform?
I think Twitter will always be closer to TikTok than it is to YouTube. Like at least in its current form. Like I don't see 20-minute, 1 hour long videos or whatever, even 15-minute videos being watched over there. I see it more as like the short and snappy stuff closer to TikTok.
But at the same time, Twitter is a really good comment section for the internet.
I mean, it's almost weird why doesn't Twitter allow you to embed YouTube videos? Like why does that? You should just ask Elon that. Like, I don't know if that's a YouTube thing, but when a YouTuber posts a video, why do they have to link to YouTube? Why can't they just embed it on Twitter and you just play it there? I mean, wouldn't that just solve a lot of problems?
Yeah, but then the two companies would have to agree to integrate each other's content.
I don't know, but it seems like a win-win. I mean, well, it's more of a win for Twitter because then people don't have to leave the platform. I mean, that'd be the easiest solution.
But who gets, like, when you watch the ads on a YouTube video that's embedded in a Twitter, who gets the money?
It would still be YouTube, but at least then right now people just post a link and it takes you off Twitter and it just kills your session time on Twitter.
That's really interesting. But because the Twitter, whatever the dynamics of the comments, especially once the spam bots are taken care of, Twitter just works. It's really nice. So Reddit is a nice comment section for the internet. It's like slower pace, more deliberate, like higher effort. Twitter's like this high paced, like ephemeral kind of stream. But there's the upvoting and the downvoting works much better because you can do retweeting, right? Because the social network is much stronger than it is on YouTube. Like the interconnectivity.
Yeah, on Reddit, you're going to get the top replies are going to be the most refined ones, whereas Twitter, stuff floats to the top that's not super refined. But like you're saying, it's more off the cuff stream of consciousness, which a lot of people prefer because it's a little more personal.
How do you think Twitter compares to YouTube in terms of how you see its future unroll in 2023? I
mean, I think YouTube's going to be YouTube and not much is really going to change, but it's going to keep growing just because, that's just what it does and because it's owned by Google. But Twitter, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things like you can't predict if a year from now an economy is going to be in a recession or booming. And I think Twitter's kind of the same thing. One thing's for certain, a lot of things are going to be rolled out, but who knows, honestly.
You responded to Elon saying Twitter's unlikely to be able to pay creators more money than YouTube. Why do you think that is?
Well, yeah, because I think the tweet I responded to was one where he was saying that they, users will jump over if Twitter could potentially pay more than other platforms. And I was just saying, obviously, because Google has Google AdWords, and I mean, that's Google's whole thing. It's putting ads on stuff. They've been doing it better than anyone else in the world for a very long time. It's very unlikely in the next few years that Twitter is going to just magically, or any platform, give a creator the ability to make higher CPMs than on YouTube. It's kind of crazy. Like some creators in December, Q4, because ad rates are higher because of Christmas and everything, some creators literally make like $30-$40 per 1,000 views. And that's after YouTube's cut. Like, it's almost like hard to think about like how high the RPMs get. And even then, once you pull out of finance and cars, the high CPM niches, and you move into just normal stuff, it's still just crazy. The sheer volume of creators and the fact that all of them get these multi-dollar CPMs at scale, it's pretty beautiful.
So you do, I don't know what you would call them, but like integrated ads in your videos, and you do it, I would say, masterfully. It's like part of the video.
Are you talking about brand deals?
Brand deals, is that what you would call that?
Yep.
So it's a brand deal, it's part of the video, it's still really exciting to watch, and yet there's a plug for the brand.
In general, just brand deals, since you brought it up, integrating them well. I think that's something a lot of creators don't do. Like, they'll just do a brand deal out of the blue. They'll just be filming a video, and then around the 3-minute mark, just start talking about a random company.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you don't want viewers to click away and you want people to not get pissed off and call you to sell out, you got to find a way to integrate it into content. And ideally, use the money in the video to make it better. Like, as the easiest thing you can do when you do a brand deal is just tell people how you're using the money from the brand deal to make your content better. And if you do that, like, no one cares. Now they're supporting you for it. And you go from being a sellout to like, oh, I'm doing this to make better videos for you guys, you know?
I don't know if you can share, but with those brands, when you have discussions with them, are they strict about how long you need to be talking about it? Or is it more about they're leaving control to you about the artistic element of it?
The problem is the ones who don't give us the artistic element, we just don't really work with anymore.
Sure. So
because it's just, we get 100 million views a video now, and I can confidently say I know how to entertain them and convert them better than these random brands. So, if they don't give us that freedom, I just won't work with them.
So you have that leverage, but for smaller creators,
It's a lot harder. Yeah. And they're gonna just say 45 seconds, here's what you say, take it or leave it. And it's like pretty brutal. Because I think just in general, if brands were more accommodating to let creators tell their story of the brand and talk about the brand in a way that felt a little more natural, I think it'd be less cringe. People would be less likely to go, tap, 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 skip. And obviously it would convert better, but they're just so afraid, and they want this standardized thing. Say these words and 45 seconds right here at this 3-minute mark.
Yeah, I often think about how to resist that.
You just don't do them though, right?
Not on YouTube, right? I do, on the audio, I do ads in the very beginning, and I say you can skip them if you want.
Gotcha.
But
I'm sure the brand loves that.
no, I don't. Like, the point is they. So the funny thing about podcasts is different than YouTube videos. Podcast people actually do listen to ads a lot because it's slower paced, and they like the creator voice, like talking about the thing. But in general, I just don't believe you should be talking about a thing for a minute exactly, and that's going to be effective. I want to see the data for that. I think what's much more effective is the way you do ads, which is like integrate into the content, like put a lot of effort into making a part of that, like doing the brand deals. And it's difficult to have that conversation. It's like a very strenuous conversation you have to have with brands. You have to have each one at a time. And I just wish there was more of a culture to say, like, the quality of the ad read matters a lot more than the the silly parameters, like the timing of it, like how long it is, the placement of it, all that kind of stuff.
What percentage of your viewers do you think have seen one of my videos before?
What percentage of the viewers on YouTube, right?
Yeah, of your viewers.
Of the viewers on YouTube, though, because
Yeah.
most of people.
Okay, sure, or all of them.
All
It's just
of
interesting because you're speaking very specifically like about my brand deal process, and so in my head, I'm like, I wonder what percentage of these people even have any idea what he's talking about.
That's interesting. I love the thinking about numbers.
The whole time we were having this conversation, that's all I could think about. It's like, God damn it, there's probably like 50% of these people have no fucking clue what he's saying,
Probably.
and we're about to torture him for 5 minutes.
Yeah, probably.
But that's something I can't turn off in my brain.
Less than 50%. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is that exciting to you that there's like 50% of people have not watched the MrBeast video? Isn't that an opportunity?
Yeah, I guess it's an opportunity to grow. I don't know. Honestly, I was just kind of excited to hang out with you.
Yeah, me too.
So,
I mean,
today was a lot of fun.
Who cares if there's mics?
Yeah, so it's kind of like having a buddy to go along the journey as I'm just kind of eating shit and doing my normal grind. It was like kind of fun. And also you just say really wise stuff constantly. So honestly, no, I never even put any thought into like the demographics or what I could gain. It's just interesting because like my retention brain, when you talk about something, I'm instantly like, what value are they going to get? How many of them are going to be interested? What percentage of people do I think will lose? And I'm like running all those calculations in the background. And that whole conversation, like anyway, it's just something I can't turn off. My like bells are like, error, this is bad.
What are the different strategies for high retention for your videos and in general?
It's like, how do you cook good food? You know what I mean? That's like the same kind of question.
I see. So there's so many different ways that so it boils down to, I mean, do you think at the level of a story, or do you think like literally watching 5 seconds at a time? Am I going to tune out here? Am I going to tune out here? Am I going to tune out here?
It's all of it. You need the overarching narrative, and then you also need the micro where every second, needs to be entertaining. And you basically, what's interesting is the longer people watch something, the more likely they are to keep watching. So, you don't have to try as hard in the hypothetically back half of a video as you do in the front. Like even right now, we're so deep into this where a lot of people listening are probably just going to keep listening relatively close to the end unless we just have a really boring part of this conversation because they're just in it. They're immersed. And so a big, like, to really boil it down to a simple level, you just want to get people where they're immersed in the content and then just kind of hold them there.
We had this discussion offline. And by the way, I should mention that this is like late at night.
It is. What time is it? It's 9 o'clock.
And I only slept 1 hour last night because I'm an idiot and I flew to the wrong location.
Well, here, we're like, hey, let's just book you a hotel and a flight. He's like, no, I got it. We're like, you sure? We can just do it. We always do this. He's like, no, I got it.
He's going to have to rub it in.
I know. And then today, come to find out, he flew to the wrong airport with the or a city with a similar name to ours. Just
same name. Yeah. Same name in a different state.
and I was like, that's why you should have let us book it. And so he's on 1 hour of sleep and he's literally been dying all day. Before this podcast, he downed like 2 things of coffee. We've been going all day hard.
Yeah, I've been got to interact with you. I should say that this gave me an opportunity to, I got a ride from a stranger and it was an incredible person. I got to interact with them. So it's like there's so many kind people around here. Just like this kind of southern energy. And then I got to go to a diner because I could, there's only 1 hour between me arriving and having to fly out. So I went to a diner. There's a really kind waitress that called me honey. So that was a beautiful moment,
I was so confused. You tweeted about that and like Steele's like, Lex, my assistant was like, Lex isn't here yet. Yeah. And I saw your tweet and I was like, he's here. Yeah. Steele's like, no, he's still flying. I was like, an hour ago, he just tweeted about a nice diner.
Yeah,
I didn't realize you flew to the
diner. It was a diner in a different state.
And then you had to fly over here. Yeah. So and then I called you didn't answer. I was like, I was like, something's not adding up.
Yeah, I feel like such an idiot because apparently the world has cities like Springfield, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's like every single state has a Springfield.
Oh, really?
I think so. Okay, I think that's whatever. That's like a Simpsons joke, right? That like it's the city in the Simpsons is Springfield, and I think every single state or most of them have a Springfield, and the same is true for like Georgetown. I think I forget what the most popular one was, but there's like a list of these people get when they run out of ideas, they just keep using the same.
They're your Achilles heel.
Anyway, I got to meet a bunch of people from your team. It's just an incredible human beings. So let me just ask on that topic, how do you hire a great team? Like what have you learned about hiring for everything, for the main channel that you do, for the React, the gaming channel, to MrBeast Burger, to Feastables, all that?
The big thing is, especially in this content creation, because it's not like anything that's done on Netflix or different content mediums. I really need people who are coachable and like really see the value in what I care about because it's a very specific way of going about things. And it's a thing, there's no one like plug and play. Like if Netflix wanted to hire someone to do a documentary, there's probably tens of thousands of people you could hire that have worked on documentaries before. But if you want to hire someone to make super viral YouTube videos, like we do, there's just no one you can really pull from. Like sometimes I'll hire people from, game shows, right? And they have all these preconceived notions about pacing and how a video should be, and you have to spend like the first year like breaking all these habits, and and they think they're better than you. Like a lot of people in traditional think they're better, and they think their way is better than what we do. And so, for me, it's almost easier to hire people that are just hard workers that are obsessed and really coachable, and just train them how to like be good at content creation and production, than to hire someone from like traditional, which is the only way to really do it because there's not that many YouTube channels that have scaled up. So it's not like there's a huge talent pool of people who've worked on YouTube channels. So it's easier just to train someone than just pull them from traditional, because traditional people just, I don't know, they have all these opinions and things and they just think our way of going about things is dumb.
Yeah. So you want people who have the humility to have a beginner's mind, even if they have experience.
And see the value. Like actually, you'll still get it. It's so crazy. Like especially some of my other friends that are scaling up their YouTube channels. There's people that will come on and you'll ask them like, "What do you want to be doing in 5 years?" And instead of saying, "Oh, I want to be working on this channel," they'll be like, "Oh, I hope to be working on movies or this or that." And they see like working on a YouTube channel as a launch pad to go into traditional. And it's like, no, like you just don't get it.
This is the future.
This is the end goal. Yeah. This is your career. And so I'm just so tired of having those kinds of conversations. Like I feel like people really should be coming around.
Are there like recurring interview questions that you ask? Is there ways to get?
Yeah, but the biggest thing is like, what do you want to be doing in 10 years? And if their answer isn't, making content on YouTube, or, if their answer is anything like movies or traditional stuff like that, it's like just a hell no. Like it just won't even remotely work.
Oh, so you really want people to believe in the vision of YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it's like, oh, working here. You know what I mean?
So it's less about the medium and more about just being on a great team that's doing epic stuff.
Yeah, well, and yeah, the media as well, because it's hard to put it into words, but it's just two completely different ways of going about things. Like our videos aren't scripted, and it's a lot more run and gun. And if we hypothetically blow up a giant car or whatever, like you only have one take, you know what I mean? So, and it's not scripted, and so you have to overfilm, overshoot things, overcompensate for like the dumb way of going about it. And a lot of traditional people would be like, well, just plan what you're going to say and just plan the angles. You can cut the cameras in half. You can save 50 grand here. You can save, $75,000 editing, this and that. And it's like, yeah, but that's not authentic. Like that's, blah, blah. You get it. It's almost so obvious that it hurts to have to like constantly have these conversations, but it's what we live in.
But there's also detail, like there's a taste. Like I've watched a bunch of videos with you and it's clear to you that you've gotten really good. I don't know what the right word is, style or taste, to be able to know what's good and not in terms of retention, in terms of just stylistically, visually.
I don't have to think. I can just watch a video and it just screams in my head like this is what should change based on the million videos I've watched and all these viral videos I've consumed. Like this is blah blah blah, what's optimal and things like that. It's almost like your brain's like a neural net, and like if you consume enough viral videos and enough good content, that you just kind of start to like train your brain to like see it and see these patterns that happen in all these viral videos. And so that anytime I watch a video or a movie or anything, I just can't stop thinking about what is optimal. And so it's like it gives me a headache sometimes when I watch something too slow or I don't think is optimal. Obviously my taste isn't the end all be all, but that's something that kind of torments me, if that makes any sense.
Oh, you can't enjoy a slow moving
I can't.
movie.
And that's not to say
the retention on The Godfather is horrible.
Yeah, no, exactly. I've tried to watch that movie like 3 times, and that's not to say slow movies are bad. Like there's an audience for it. It's just obviously not what I've trained my brain to like. And in social media and YouTube right now, like that's just not the meta.
And in general, like you said, in neural network, you're training your brain in part on actual data. Yep. Right. So you're actually, it's data driven. So you're looking at like in terms of thumbnails and titles and different aspects of like the first 5-10 seconds. And then throughout the video, the retention, all of that, you're looking at all of that for your own videos to understand how to do it better. So that's where the neural network is training.
Yeah. Basically, there are ways you can kind of see like the most viewed videos on YouTube every day and stuff like that. And I just kind of consume those every single day. And I've been doing that for way too many years. And you just start to notice patterns. Like the thumbnails on the most viewed videos or videos that go super viral tend to be clear, tend to not have much clutter, tend to be pretty simple. Titles tend to be less than 50 characters. Intros tend to be this. Stories tend to be this. And you just kind of like, after you see those thousands and then tens of thousands of time, it just starts to click in your head. Like, this is what it looks like,
So how are you able to transfer that taste that you've developed to the team? So for like, because you said like broad things, but I'm sure there's a million detailed things. Like what zoom to use on the face to use in the thumbnail, right? Like
the answer is whatever makes the best video. Because the problem is the more, which I have so many friends who are like this. They'll make like checklists for their editors. They'll make, this beat and this beat, and you need to have like a 3-part arc and then this. But the problem is that's how you, the more constraints you put on the team, the more repetitive and less innovation you get. And the more like, after 10 videos, people are gonna be like, all right, I've already seen this. So to me, and I'm 24 and, I'm probably, my mindset will change over the next 10 years. I just haven't been in this industry too long, but the only way to like really make innovative content and keep things fresh is to not put constraints on or put as little as possible. And so that's why I'm very hesitant on all that stuff, because the more I say, the more they're gonna be like, oh, then that's what we do. And then, I'll say one time like, oh, ideally there's a cut every 3 seconds. And then next thing you know, every video, there's a cut every 3 seconds or whatever. So it's hard because I try to give as little not training, but as little facts or as possible, and more just make suggestions, if that makes any sense.
You mean publicly or to your team?
To my team, yeah.
So you talked about sort of teaching your voice or your style, whatever we want to call it, to other people on the team so they can be kind of a MrBeast replacement. So what's the process of teaching that? So you don't want to
No, I got you. So you're more talking about like what I would call almost like cloning, right?
Yeah.
Like Tyler and other people like that. Yeah. So when we were hanging out today, I was showing him how we have multiple people in the it's almost like talking to the camera to have it.
Yeah, you turn slowly to the camera.
I was like, anyways, have it.
Is it weird to you to not be looking at the camera?
This whole interview, I constantly have been turning towards the camera. I'm like, wait, I'm talking to him.
Yes.
It's a habit. Because my whole life, I've just been talking to a camera.
Who are you thinking about when you're looking at the camera? Do you like imagine somebody?
I'm fully thinking about the person just sitting watching it. And I almost, it's weird. When I'm looking at the camera, I don't see a camera. I'm like in a haze picturing what the viewer is seeing when they watch it, if that makes sense. And that's where I'll be saying things and or doing something. And then like when I'm watching, I'm like, that's not what I want. And then I'll freeze up. It's very weird when I'm filming. And for people who haven't worked with me too much, they'll think like, I don't know. It's very weird. Like how I go about it. Cause I'll just be doing whatever, like lighting a firework. All right, this is $1,000 firework. And I'll go to light it. And I'll like freeze. Cause in my head, I'm like, I don't know. I don't like how that flowed or how that shot looked. Cause it's weird. I can perfectly picture what I'm filming by just looking at the camera and then putting myself through the lens of the camera while making content. I can do it at the same time.
So you're like real-time editing
in my head. Video. Yeah. That's something that didn't at the start come natural to me, but in the last probably like 5 years, it's happened. And so I would say it's one of my greatest strengths, but I don't know how I developed it. But anytime I'm filming anything, like it's almost like the right side of my brain, I just can look at it and I see exactly what I'm filming and I can just picture it.
Well, it's probably recording the video, being the talent for the video, and then watching the editing and like analyzing it carefully and do that over and over and over and over and over. You
10,000 times. Yeah.
You do the editing more than the being in front of the camera. So like you start to see yourself from that third person perspective.
Exactly.
And then maybe that actually helps with the nerves of it too. Like you see it as creating a video versus performing. Right?
Yeah. I think so. It's weird. I've never been nervous talking to a camera. It's harder for me to talk to a person than it is to talk to a camera, which I feel like a lot of people say that though, that are whatever, make content, right?
Interesting.
I've heard that so many times. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm just awkward and dumb.
Maybe they're practiced. To me, both are terrifying, but being in front of the camera by yourself is
so much easier.
Really?
Yeah, so much easier. I prefer it a million times over. But that's my whole life, So it's just, that's why it's interesting. Like you've spent more of your time talking to people. Yeah. It comes natural. And I talk to a piece of plastic.
Oh, yeah. I guess you're talking to a person too. There's just on the other side of the camera.
Yeah. There's just a pixel on a screen.
So cloning, how do you achieve the cloning?
Oh yeah, that's right. This whole rabbit trail. So I was showing him that I have a lot of people in the company who are able to think like me and basically make decisions like I would make if I was like, if you were asked, hey, in this video, should we climb a mountain or should we dig a hole? Yeah. Right. And like, they would pick the same answer I'd pick 90+% of the times. And so like one example is Tyler, who I was showing you, when he was pitching some content and like you could see it like this, he was on point. And basically for just 4 or 5 years, we just spent an absurd amount of time together and worked on every single video together. And we worked side by side. And same thing with my CEO, James. He literally lived with me for a couple of years. I'm a big fan of just like finding people who are super obsessed and all in and A players that, they really just want to be great and then just dumping everything I have in them.
And like you were saying, because I'd love to find that and develop that, you were saying you're basically for a long time just said everything you were thinking to them.
Exactly. Like James, the guy who's basically my right hand man right now, for 2 years he lived with me and we probably talked on average over those 2 years, 7 hours a day. I mean, anytime I had a phone call, I'd throw it on speaker and I'd let him listen. Anything I was reading, any content I was consuming, like really just training his brain to think like me. So that way he could just do things without my input, without me having to constantly watch over him or give him advice. And that's where we've gotten like, so for the first 6 months, he didn't do anything. He just studied me and studied everything I cared about and how I spoke and blah, blah. And then the next 6 months, he started taking on some responsibilities. And now he can just run the company and, I don't ever really have to check in on him. Like most of the decisions he makes are exactly what I would do. And so I call that cloning. I don't know what other people would, but it's just like finding people that are really obsessed and they just kind of really want it and just being like giving them an avenue to like get it, if that makes any sense.
Another way to see it is you're converging towards a common vision and that makes like brainstorming much more productive.
Yeah, it just makes it where I don't have to be so involved in everything because I just have these people that I know will think like I will, at least relatively close to it. So I can kind of almost be in multiple places at once per se. And so these things that, you know, I still approve every idea we film, and, you know, everything before we film and all the creative, I approve it, but I don't have to like be in the weeds and nuances and do all this minor stuff. I can just let them handle it. I can just do the more macro things.
I got a chance to sit in to a lengthy brainstorming session with Tyler and others. That was really cool. Can you talk about the process of that, of people pitching ideas and you pitching alternatives or shutting down ideas and just going like plowing through ideas very
I mean, you kind of just described exactly what we did. Yeah.
I mean, but the ideas are really really good. It's just tossing out like different categories of ideas and then also fine-tuning them to see like how do I change, like thinking about the titles and the thumbnails.
I work so well off of inspiration. It's like that's something like give me any word. I don't know. Make it relative. Space. Yeah, like I went to space. You know, what happens if you blow up a nuke in space? Or I went to the moon. I went to Mars. Right? Because you said that one word, it was able to inspire me to come up with 4 ideas. And so that's just, it's for me. If you, the way to get 100 million views on a video is you need something original, creative, something people really need to see. Ideally, never been done before. All these like things, and so you need like, if you want to consistently go super viral, you need just a constant stream of ideas. And the only way I've really found that I can consistently come up with 100 million view videos is to intake inspiration and then see what my brain outputs. And so that's kind of at its core foundation what I'm doing there. It's just like intaking a lot of random inspiration to see what spawns in my mind so I can output it.
But the neural network of your brain is generating the video, the title, the thumbnail, all like jointly. Right?
Exactly. And that only comes because I spent 10 years of my life just obsessively studying all that stuff.
Because I mean, it seems like you would literally potentially shut down a video just because you can't come up with a good title.
Yeah, or 100%, a good thumbnail. Or a thumbnail. Yeah, I mean, that's what happened to 70% of those in that pitch session. I was just like, oh, what was one of them? Genius versus 100 people, or...
Yeah, like maybe average intelligence versus genius or something like that. Or...
Yeah, I was like, what the heck is the thumbnail? Even if the title was good. Yeah. I mean, there's so many, but yeah, if people don't click, they don't watch.
That's so interesting. But you developed over time the ability to kind of give it what makes for a good title? Short?
Not just short. It's also, I mean, if someone reads it, are they like, do they have to watch it? Is it just so intrinsically interesting that it's just gonna fuck with them if they don't click on it? You know what I mean?
So it doesn't have to be short, but it has to be like, you almost want to have a retention to word by word reading.
Ideally, it's a title also that you know, because the titles don't live in a vacuum, right? So it has to lead into the content. So ideally, the title represents content that you would want to watch for 20 minutes. So if it's a 20-minute video and the title is "I stepped on a bug," it's not gonna, because it's all of it combined. The click-through rate is going to be much lower. And then if it was like a 5-second video, people might click it. So you gotta, like, even nuances of the length of the video based against the title will affect whether people want to click it, because sometimes they just don't add up. I mean, it's that. Yes, ideally you want it below 50 characters, because above 50 characters on certain devices, you run the chance of it going ... So like, I took a light pole and I saw how many dollar bills I could stack on top, and they would just go ... because it's too long and it can't finish it. And that's the worst thing, because then people don't even know what they're clicking on. And so it's going to do even worse. Short, simple, ideally, and just so freaking interesting, they have to click. And it is a good segue into the content, and it represents the length of the content.
And there's probably stuff it's hard to convert into words for you, like I stepped on a bug versus stepping on a bug versus MrBeast stepped on a bug versus...
Well, I mean, that
bug stepping
it's funny
video.
You bring that up. So it's like, yes, the more extreme the opinion, typically the higher the click-through rate. If you can like pay it off in the content, then it just supercharges it. So like,
so you have a kind of estimate of the extreme.
Like this water, right? If you're like, Fiji water sucks.
Yeah,
that would do fine. But if you said Fiji water is the worst water bottle, or the worst water I've ever drank in my life, way more extreme opinion would do way better.
But you have to deliver.
Yeah, but then you have to deliver, because the more extreme you are, the more extreme you have to be in the video.
Yeah, that's almost inspiration for you to step up.
Yes, but you can be more extreme in a positive way. A lot of people, it's easier though. Negative clickbait is much easier than positive clickbait. It just is. It's so much easier to get negative clicks, and so a lot of people are just, in my opinion, a little bit lazier, and they just take the route like, oh, well, this one gets the same amount of clicks, and it's easier, less effort.
The positive one is doing a large number of numbers of something. Like I spent this number of hours doing this.
Or whatever. If you just wanted to help people, or right, it's just harder to get 10 million views on a video helping people than it is to get 10 million views on a video tearing down a celebrity. You know what I mean? Or whatever negative video you want to insert there.
Well, that said, most of your videos are pretty positive.
Yes.
So what's...
But not a lot of people do those kinds of videos because they're hard.
Yeah, they're hard.
Yeah.
Some of that is giving away money, right?
Yeah.
What's the secret to that? How do you do that right?
Yeah.
Like
give away money, or
in a video that to make it compelling. Is it so? There's a number that is better than another number, right?
The higher number is always better than the lower number. Yeah, for the most part. And it's interesting. Like some videos will give away $1 million, some videos will give away $500,000. There's not really. I guess so. I'm retracting what I just said. I was more joking with that, but there's no difference whether I put 500K or $1 million. There's probably not even really a difference between 100K or $1 million. I haven't really looked into it. Like some of our most of the videos are not us giving away $1 million, and sometimes the $1 million videos just don't do as well as the other ones. So there is a certain point where a dollar amount is just a large dollar amount to an average human, and so I think that point is 100K. Like anything above 100K, the average human is just like, that's a lot of money. Like it doesn't 100K and $1 million like doesn't really move the needle, if that makes sense. Which that's a very nuanced piece of information that applies to very few people, but yeah.
Well, no, I think it applies. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. Our relationship with money is fascinating. Like, why is it so exciting to get? I mean, the times I've found like $20 in the ground are like incredible.
Really?
I don't know why, right? Why?
Really?
Why are you so happy? Like, what exactly is so joyful about that? I mean, it depends where you are in life, what the situation is. Yeah, I don't know. There's also a gamified aspect to it. It's exciting.
Yeah,
it's fun.
No, I get it. Like why people want to see people win money. It's just interesting that past 100 grand, it doesn't really seem to make a difference. Like it's the same basically.
So you found that to be true with all the money you've given away? That
just in click-through rate. Like obviously in terms of someone receiving it, $1 million changes their life drastically more. Like that's the difference. Like, if you wanted to, you could really quit your job. As opposed to 100K is like, not really.
You probably do